I'm Theron Ramacharaka. We start off a little differently than I usually do. If you like this material, this video, please give it a like, a thumbs up. If you like the material on this channel, please subscribe to it. And hit the notification bell, to get notified of new uploads. I've been irregular about those, so this may be a good idea. So you don't just keep checking back and see there's nothing and then give up, unsubscribe or whatever. Just make sure you get notified, I should be more regular about this. I used to be. But anyway, that all having been said, let's move on. I've been doing this on one channel or another, this kind of video, this line of talk for, I don't know, maybe 20 years now. And I've often talked about mind power, personal involvement, consciousness hijacking, polarity, law of opposites, all kinds of things here. Trying to give an overview over time, over many videos, of an entire way of going about being. All right. So there's one thing I've left out that I think is now important to bring forth because it's on my mind. I want to get it onto yours. I like to suggest thinking in terms of all the universe being alive, everything, life is everywhere. Now, sometimes, we may find a structure that's man-made, such as this external hard drive. Oh, jeez, get unplugged now. Illegally. I want to get that plugged back in. Excuse me. All right, so we wouldn't, it's a little difficult. It's a pretty far stretch, I think, to say that hard drive is, at that level of organization of materials is alive. But the components, the final components, the atomic structures, the atoms, there's consciousness there. Okay, we've taken something and put it together unnaturally. Natural formations, however, have life at every level. A tree, the entire tree has its own mind. So does each leaf, on down to the atoms involved and the subatomic particles. All right. All is alive. Therefore, we may just, a little further along, get to where we're now talk about mind power being at all these levels. That's part of the life involved. All right. Excuse me. Well, when we have that, now this is a very, very good way to think about things for many reasons. One is that phenomena are essentially electromagnetic states, changes, states of affairs. We can boil things down also after many years of me considering this, studying this sort of thing, researching, experimenting, intuiting, contemplating, experimenting. I think I already said that. Weeding through information. I boiled things down to all the universe, whatever that means. Universes, whatever. All phenomena, let's put it like that. We can say that reality is constructed of conscious substance in motion. That's three things: consciousness, stuff, life, awareness, self-awareness, stuff, and moving, motion, vibration, action, change. Let me get rid of this notification now. All right. We can also, down at that level, that basic level, add in there two more things than electromagnetic. Just the same as the other three, like conscious, substance, and motion. Well, over here, with our line of talk here in this video, electromagnetic phenomena. Yes, the phenomena are essentially electromagnetic. They're also essentially mathematical and essentially logical. Logic states, a state of affairs is either on or off. From a logical point of view, which is there. It is there. Things are either on or off. Those are the two poles involved. There are blends, and variations, but that's the main structure. And mathematically, we have mathematical formulas in operation and mathematical states of affairs going on. Things are quantitative, right? And electromagnetic. Now, which one is fundamental? Probably electromagnetic, if there's one that's fundamental to the other two. All right, so this is a valid way of thinking about things overall here. Electrical states, positive and negative. Polarity. It's always there too. The law of opposites is always in operation. One of its fundamental manifestations is gender in all things. At all levels, gender at work. Another is polarity, electrical poles at work. Why is this a good way of thinking? Well, there are a lot of reasons. One is this is the way things operate, being essentially electromagnetic. One level of mind power is either positive or negative to another, possibly equal. Most likely not equal, maybe nearly so, but one is positive to the other. So what are the results of that positivity? Well, one is being able to control, being the one in charge, the one that has the most influence over the other rather than the other way around. Your individual mind power, your entire organism, is positive, in charge to the mind power of any individual, any specific organ or system of organs in your body. There's the mental. We're talking about mind, and then we're talking about matter here. I'm not talking about mind over matter. I'm talking about levels of mind power and which ones are positive or negative to the other. That's thinking this way, which is what I'm advocating here. And then I've done this before. I'm still laying out the things I have talked about before, but I have this thing to add. All right? So, but let me keep going here for a minute and get us all up to speed here before I add in what I have to add. This is very important. But, okay, so mind power. Your individual mind is positive to system mind or organ mind or cell mind. And organ mind is positive in charge to cell mind, individual cells that make up that organ. These are just different levels, and the levels are positive or negative with respect to other levels. So, if this knowledge is applied wisely and properly, we can enhance these natural relationships, positivity and negativity with respect to others of the kind or of similar nature. Now, similar nature, yeah, they're all mind power. So there's a common element. It's all mind power at work and electromagnetic influence, or the electromagnetic aspect of it, which involves positivity and negativity. Right. Essentially involves it. Okay, so I wouldn't think, I'm trying to get you to not at the bottom of affairs think in terms of one is good, the other is bad. One is strong, the other is weak, although these may be the case. May be the case. Think in terms of polarity. This is a very practical way of going about things. It's something that you can put into action safely if done wisely and properly. If you want to, let's say it's another individual's mind in relation to your individual mind, and you want to establish an atmosphere of cooperation, of a bit of control, of being influential in your argument, your debate, your interlocution, your activities together. If you want to establish your place then your mind power, your individual general mind power, must be positive or made positive with respect to the others, the other individuals. That you can talk in terms of willpower. You know, my will is stronger. This is a very central part of mind power anyway, and how it operates. You know, and we could say it has two main poles. Again, the poles thing, will and the desire working together. Now, the working together, let's now, so mind power, this positivity and negativity are invisible things in themselves. You know, what connects, the connection in this relationship, like from my individual mind to your individual mind, is invisible. You know, this is not like picturing a white light or anything like that surrounding anybody, you know, like you picture the other person's black and mine white, and, you know, white winds. No, this is transparent. You can think of it in terms of plus signs and negative signs. A pool of them, but they're invisible. It's a charge. It's an electromagnetic thing. And you apply mind power to affect mind power. So even though these are physical things we may be discussing, you know, like the, you know, your liver, its level of mind power, organ mind power, and then your mind, your individual mind, affecting the function of the physical thing, the health of the physical thing. Well, that would sound like mind over matter, but I said this is not that. We're talking about mind to mind here, not mind to matter. It's mind to mind. One's positive over the other. All right. What I want to point out is that this polarity thinking is extremely worthwhile in which to engage, because it's fundamentally the case. And then you get all the benefits of that. This is a way of working in harmony with nature. We can say that's, a way to say why this works out so well, if done wisely and properly. Here's the thing I wanted to add. Polarity thinking one of the proper ways to do this, and wise ways to do this, for sustainable positive outcomes. Positive outcomes that are sustainable. And hopefully without the diminution, or the diminution of other things that you don't want to affect, so that they move in a more negatively charged direction. All right, so you must bear both sides both poles in mind. I have advocated a polarity way of talking. I have put forth a polarity way of talking when I have said the more you focus on a pole, the one pole of affairs, the more you're going to move in that direction. I meant that as a general statement, but I left out a detail that you must not just 100% focus on one pole of a situation. On, say, the positive pole, whatever you would consider that to be. Okay. You have to bear in mind the other one. I mean, each pole has its flip side. I mean, each pole in itself has polarity within its own structure. It's just a different level of manifestation. You can end up on the flip side of the positive pole, and at the same time, you can have other things happen that are outside this state of affairs poles, other things that you didn't want to have an impact on. Like you focus too much on work, your home life may go downhill, and then you won't be able to function at work so well. It's not sustainable. And you've damaged other things because you didn't apply this knowledge wisely and properly. So the desired result may not really happen very well. It will to some extent. It was going, if left on its own, it might anyway. You want to influence this, and you get a measure of control over it. So you apply this thinking, and then not wisely and properly. You have to bear in mind, one thing to do is bear in mind the other side, and what things you may be affecting that you didn't expect to affect. That's wise, right? I mean, while one thing moves forward, some other things may move backwards that you didn't really want to have move backwards. And you may end up with the flip side of the thing you were pushing for anyway, if that's all you focused on. This is like, another example of this would be like, we hear a lot about affirmations. It's been ever since the New Age thing, like positive affirmations. Okay, we hear a lot about that. I never heard much suggesting that it works better if you add in the negative side. For example, it's not a lie, it is the truth. I will not sit at home on my ass today. I will go out. Rather than, I will go out today. You deny the negative and then affirm the positive as a pair. And don't just focus on denying the negative. Like, I will not sit on my ass today alone. And expect that to do the trick. That may be the worst of all possible ways to go about it. you end up moving in the other direction because the subconscious mind, as I've said before, does not pick up on a negative, the negative operator, like the word not in a statement, not this. It doesn't pick up on that. It picks up on what has emotional content. And its focus goes in that direction. Not is an operator, is a polarity operator, a logical operator. Sit on my ass today has emotional content. That's what will get picked up on by the subconscious mind, which will affect conscious life. You use these together. Don't forget the other side. The other pole is the point. Bear both in mind and consider mind power involved all the way around. Electrical. I've heard it said, and I tend to fall in step with this, that vril, prana itself, I'm talking about especially, the principle of them, the most general, like world prana, universal prana, is electricity. The actual thing that you cannot see. Not at this point in human involvement. Maybe somebody can. But, we're not even sure how to define electricity still, as far as I know. Yeah, there are definitions thrown around, but, those are about the best we can do to define electricity. What is the movement of electricity? What's really moving? Which direction are things moving? Is it electrons moving in one direction or the holes between them moving the other? Because we're getting down to the relativity of all natural phenomena here. How are you going to define the affairs? when we're looking at electricity, we get down there pretty far. We're digging deeply into affairs, and it seems to kind of escape us exactly what that is, that thing, electricity. We see how it works. We know how to use it. But what is it? I've heard it said that it is prana itself. When we have changing electrical states, we have a flow of electrical energy, don't we? Involved. Something is moving. There's change. There's vibration in action. Conscious substance in motion. How about that? Essentially, the stuff, the substance, is prana. There's another name for it, with all that we usually mean by that, or vril. Okay, so think in terms of that. We don't see it as a color. It's transparent. It's clear, right? This is the way we want to affect things. We don't want to create a visible display to the world of forces and mind. We just want to get a result without much interference. We don't want to attract other things by our very doing that we have to work, that may work against us. Like picturing white light to protect you. You're surrounded by, in a in a circle, in a sphere, a solid, not a solid sphere, but a filled sphere, a sphere filled with white light. Well, that becomes visible, to anything that can see, so to speak, at that level of manifestation of mind power and drill stuff, substance. It's clear you want your will to be positive to somebody else's, and picture this with respect to if you need to picture something. It's helpful to picture something, have a mental image. That way you can see it, at work, put it to work, something to picture. Think of plus, transparent plus and minus signs. Surround yourself with something. You want to emanate something, then make it plus signs, a bunch of plus signs, and negative signs over there. Bear in mind both of them, what you want to have happen with them, what the consequences may be, and what relationships this whole thing may have with other things that too have their poles. Apply this knowledge wisely and properly, and it will be a great aid to you in life. Considering that all the universe is alive, that things work with respect to, fundamentally, rudimentarily, as electrical states and poles at work. Real mind power in everything at one level or another, if we're talking about a non-natural phenomena or object, event, man-made. All right, so that's what I wanted to say. I've added that in now. Bear in mind both sides, both poles. Although, yes, you're going to put, your attention, concentrated attention on the desired pole. Bear in mind and bring into play what you want to have happen on the other side, and attend to other affairs. Get them polarized in the same direction. Ultimately, all these things in a personal involvement regime should be working in the same direction. All of your affairs in life, all of your aspects, all of your levels harmonized, right? So the benefits of these rudimentary ways of thinking of things are enormous. Everything else comes into play, yeah, or is affected, or related somehow. Sure. I want you to think in simple terms, rudimentary terms, fundamental terms, and ideas, concepts to go with those terms. Things that, actually participate in or are parts of the way things really operate, fundamentally. All right, I'm Theron Ramacharaka. Be well. Subscribe, like, remember that stuff, notification bell, all of that. Keep visiting. Share. Get your friends to subscribe. Pay them to do it. All right, be well.